What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie, and for over 15 years, I've helped thousands of counselors support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives, and worked with tens of thousands of clients on my own. And I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. And today I want to talk to you about goals. I want to talk to you about how we accomplish goals and the lessons we learn from pursuing goals. And throughout my life, I've had a ton of goals that I've pursued. Some that I've achieved, some that I have not. But probably the most significant goal in my life that I pursued was probably my first goal, actually. As a child, I wanted to be a professional baseball player. And I don't just mean like as a dream, like I was just like a kid who's like, I hope and wish I could one day become a professional baseball player. It was actually a goal of mine. Like I genuinely worked towards making this goal happen. Now, I want to walk you through this process and tell you the lessons I learned, even though I did not become a professional baseball player. So it first started when I was a kid. I just loved baseball. Just like many other kids, I loved watching it. I loved playing it in the neighborhood with my friends. Somebody suggested that I play like organized baseball. I was 10 years old and I went and tried to play organized baseball. It was not very good, so I wasn't picked on the team. They just put me on this like lower level team, this lower level league. I remember playing, I was my 10-year-old year. And then when I was 11, they put me up one level and I was kind of average that year. And then something happened when I was 12. I led the league in home runs, batting average, RBIs, and I led my team to the town championship and had so much fun. I grew up in Massachusetts, so making the All-Star team was a really, really big deal because the All-Star team traveled throughout the summer playing. It was almost like a second baseball season. And I just loved baseball so much. I wanted to make the All-Star team when I was 12 and have that second baseball season. And it was probably my first heartbreak. I mean, I don't know this for sure, but more than likely my first experience with racism. This entire league, except for me and my younger brother, was a league full of white people, and me and my younger brother are black. And like I said, I led the league in all these offensive categories. I led my team to the town championship. The 12 top players in that league were selected to the All-Star team, which got to play all throughout the summer in all these tournaments and got to travel all throughout New England. It was a huge deal, and I was not selected for that team. It was devastating to me. And I can remember being 12 years old and asking my father, like, why did this happen? I remember being 12 years old thinking, why did this happen? My father also suspected that there was racial biases involved. And I remember thinking, I'm never going to let this happen again. I'm going to work so hard that I'm going to make it impossible for someone to not give me the credit and the accolades I deserve. As a 12-year-old, I remember thinking, I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can. So for the rest of my childhood, I worked, I exercised, I ran, I tried out for teams. I did all kinds of things. I made my high school baseball team. I worked as hard as I possibly can. I got to college to play baseball, and an injury impacted my college baseball career. I later got more focused on psychology and became interested in becoming a psychotherapist. But to this day, I credit my work ethic with pursuing the goal of becoming a professional baseball player, and the work ethic I learned from that disappointment at 12 still drives me to this day. I work so super hard because I want to make it as difficult as possible for people to disrespect me and people to not give me the things that I think I've rightly and justly earned. You know, we think about goals often, and we often think about just like the goals we accomplished and like we're only successful if we accomplish this goal. And I don't think that that's true. I think the magic and the lesson is always found in the journey. I think the magic and the lesson is always found in the pursuit. And for me, the most important thing I've ever done in my life is attempt to become a professional baseball player. And even though I didn't achieve it, I carry the lessons from that journey with me to this very day. And I don't think I would be who and where I am if it weren't for those lessons as I pursued this goal that I ultimately failed at. So I want to ask you guys to think about, like, what goals have you pursued? What meaningful goals as a child did you pursue And what lessons do you carry with you in your life still from pursuing those goals, whether you achieve them or not? So thanks for being here today. Thank you for listening. If you wouldn't mind doing me a huge favor, I'd love it if you share this podcast with at least one person in your life that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to head on over to Apple Podcasts, where you can subscribe to this podcast. You can rate this podcast. You can leave comments and feedback on this podcast. In fact, do that wherever you listen to your podcast, and I will see you tomorrow. What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie, and for over 15 years, I've helped thousands of counselors support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives, and worked with over tens of thousands of clients of my own. And I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work and in my life to help you live your very best life. And today I want to talk to you about goals. And I'm going to tell you what my goals are and what I'm doing to achieve my biggest goals in 2022. But before I do, I got to say this with a bit of a caveat. One of the most scary things you can do is talk about your goals. Talk about what you're trying to achieve. Talk about the biggest things you are working on. And the reason why it's so scary is because more often than not, when we tell people what we're trying to achieve, they say something demotivating. Right? So for example, if I say I want to lose 30 pounds, people are going to say, oh, that's hard. Oh, how are you going to do that? You don't even go to the gym. Or if you say, I want to stop smoking cigarettes, he'll say, oh my God, cigarettes. You've been smoking cigarettes since you were 10. Or whatever the case is. When people say what they're trying to achieve, it is most often met with demotivating statements. So I'm about to just lay it all out there and tell you the straight up truth about what I want to achieve. But I do so with a bit of fear. I do so with a bit of hesitation because I'm afraid I'm going to get social media comments, people telling me how hard what I want to achieve is. But what I want to achieve, if I get to the end of 2022, what I want to have accomplished is probably the biggest goal I've ever pursued. For many, many years, for the past several years, I have been working really hard to master something called solution-focused brief therapy. It's a type of psychotherapy that I do. It is something I'm very passionate about. It's something I'm very interested in. If you've been following for at any length of time, you will understand just how much this approach means to me and my work in that world means to me. In 2021, I met some people to help expose this work to a bigger and broader audience. I met some people that are going to help me develop a TV show, or actually TV shows. I signed a major book deal, and that book will be coming out later 2022, early 2023, and some people helping my social media grow. So I guess what I would say my biggest goal is for 2022 is to do a good enough job in all of those areas so that the solution-focused approach will become a household name. I would love it if through television, social media, and publishing books, it would be my biggest dream if people could be as knowledgeable about the solution-focused approach or as aware of the solution-focused approach as they are. Probably the most well-known type of psychotherapy is called cognitive behavioral therapy. Even non-clinicians know about cognitive behavioral therapy. And I would love it if more people had access to this. The reason why I think it's so important is because I think solution-focused brief therapy is just an amazing way to go about accomplishing change. I think solution-focused brief therapy is such a wonderful way for people to accomplish change, but most people don't know anything about it. They've never heard of it before. And as a consequence, they don't know to seek it out. So I want to seek that out. I want to make people so aware that they know that they can seek it out. And what I'm doing to accomplish that is every single day, I work really hard to make sure I'm taking steps in the direction of accomplishing that goal. A lot of people say the best way to accomplish a goal is to break it into small pieces and those sorts of things. And I don't actually agree with that. I think the best way to accomplish a big goal is to be persistent and patient. So it doesn't have to happen next week. It doesn't have to happen tomorrow. It doesn't have to happen next month. But if every single day I work hard and every single day I take steps in the direction of accomplishing my goal, eventually I get there. That's how I've accomplished all the things I've accomplished so far, and it's how I fully intend to accomplish the goal of making solution-focused brief therapy a household name, making this approach something that people know about and can seek out. So every single day, I do things to make sure I'm moving my life in that direction, and I'm doing so with persistence and patience. And I think that's the key to accomplishing any big goal. Not like breaking into small pieces and that kind of stuff, but be persistent, meaning continue to take steps in the direction of your goal, no matter what that might be, and be patient and let it come to fruition. Be patient and know it will come if you keep taking steps in the right direction. So I want you to think about a big goal you're working on in your life and what are the daily persistent steps you can take in the direction of that goal. So thanks so much for being here today. Please do me a favor and share this podcast with someone you think that could benefit from this message today. I know that we're wrapping up the year of 2021, so I know so many people are thinking about the goals they want to accomplish next year. So please share this with people you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to head on over to Apple Podcasts where you can leave feedback, where you can subscribe, and you can rate this podcast. In fact, do that wherever you listen to your podcast, and I will see you tomorrow. What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie, and for over 15 years, I've helped thousands of counselors support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives and worked with tens of thousands of clients on my own. I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work and in my life so that you can live your very best life too. And today I want to continue talking to you about goals and share a story about a really famous athlete, someone that all of you probably have heard about, someone all of you probably know about. And of course, I'm talking about Kobe Bryant. You know, it's still surreal to me that Kobe Bryant has passed away. It was one of those moments where I'll never forget where I was. I was going to see a movie with a friend, like a matinee during the day. And as I was standing in line to go to this movie, I got a notification that a helicopter containing Kobe Bryant and family had crashed. But what I remember most about Kobe Bryant is all of the things that people talked about that made him special. And the number one thing people talk about that made him special was his work ethic. Now, when you talk about accomplishing a goal, your work ethic is the number one asset that you bring, because that's the one thing you're in total control over. How hard you work, how much passion you possess, how present you are in the moment. That is the one variable on the pyramid to success that you have complete and total control over. Just recently, I was watching an interview done by Dwayne Wade. And Dwayne Wade told a story that I think exemplifies Kobe Bryant's work ethic. Kobe Bryant, as a young kid, wanted to be the greatest basketball player that ever lived. That's what Kobe Bryant wanted. That was his goal. He wanted to be considered one of the best basketball players that ever lived. But that's not what made him special. What made him special was how hard he worked to make that goal happen. And Dwayne Wade talked about playing on the Olympic team with Kobe Bryant and how they were flying into a city where they're going to play a game. And they got in super duper late. So the team gets in at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And the players, Dwayne Wade, some of the other players, talked about meeting in the morning after breakfast to get a workout in. And he said that we woke up the next morning and we're all walking to breakfast. We got like sleep in our eyes and we're all kind of dragging. And we get to breakfast and Kobe Bryant is already at breakfast with ice on his knees. And they walked up to Kobe and they said, what's up, man? And he said, I just got done working out. And after breakfast, I'll work out with you guys. And Dwayne Wade talked about how they knew Kobe Bryant was different at that moment. They knew Kobe Bryant and his work ethic was just different because we had gotten in late. This is not a mandatory workout. It wasn't a mandatory practice. It wasn't something that Kobe Bryant had to do. But he woke up extra early and got an extra workout in before breakfast, and then he joined his teammates in the team-sanctioned workout. See, Kobe Bryant had a theory, and Kobe Bryant, when he got into the professional basketball league, he noticed that most professional basketball players worked out twice a day. And he realized, if I could get an extra workout in, then I will work out 3 times a day, while everybody else is working out 2 times a day. And if I do that for long enough, you can't catch up to me because there's not enough days in the calendar year. That is the type of work ethic that it takes to achieve greatness. That is the type of work ethic that it takes to achieve your goals. Now ask yourself honestly, and I'm not even being critical. Ask yourself honestly, how many times have you hit snooze when you know you shouldn't? Or how many times did you choose an extra hour of sleep? How many times did you decide to go hang out with your friends? How many times did you spend all of those hours playing video games when you could have been working on your goals? Like, I meet people all the time that tell me they want to write a book. I meet people all the time that tell me they have a job that they don't love and they don't want. How many times have I met people throughout the world that tell me that they want to be doing this, to be doing that? And my thought is always, what are you doing to manifest that? What are you doing to change your life? What are you doing to put things in place that would lead to that thing that you want? And always remember, the one thing you have control over is your work ethic. So that thing you want to achieve, that thing you want to be a part of your life, that thing that you want to be there, it's up to you to start putting in the work to make it happen. Now I want all of you to write down something that you want to achieve. I want you to write down something that you want to achieve. And then I want you to spend a week working as hard as you've ever worked, working as hard as you could possibly work to make that thing happen. Thanks for being here today. If you wouldn't mind, do me a huge favor and share this podcast with someone that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to head on over to Apple Podcasts where you can rate this podcast, leave feedback for this podcast, and of course, subscribe to this podcast. In fact, do that wherever you listen to your podcast. And I will see you tomorrow. What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie. And for over 15 years, I've worked with thousands of counselors to support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives, and worked with tens of thousands of clients on my own. And today I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. And today I have a super duper important message. I want to talk to you about accomplishing your goals. And instead of thinking about it as goals, I want to talk to you about accomplishing your biggest and wildest, your most passionate, your most desirable dreams. And I'm going to share with you how to behave and how to do things in your life to make it significantly more likely that you will achieve the outcomes that you want to achieve. Now, look, there are 2 things I want you to know. Number 1, set the goals that scare you. Go after the things that seem so big and seem so scary. Go after the 1 in a million things. Dreams come true for the people who pursue them. And even if you don't pursue them, I can almost guarantee you will gain experiences, you will have opportunities, and things will happen for you in the pursuit of the goal that will change your life. The biggest mistake that I see people make in terms of trying to accomplish goals is they set their goals too small. Like, instead of trying to achieve the thing that is really on their mind, really on their heart, and would really change their life, we play it safe. We play small. So what I want to encourage you to do is set the biggest goal you could possibly set. In my life, the biggest goal I could possibly set, or at least the most recent opportunity, was when I was in graduate school. I was working at an agency and I was being a psychotherapist at an agency. And at some point I realized I wanted to have my own therapy practice. And the biggest goal I set was to be successful in business. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I was just as guilty as anyone else. Like, I didn't set the biggest goals possible. I didn't set like my dream goals. I didn't think about writing books, and I didn't think about traveling the world. I didn't think about becoming a leader in the field of psychotherapy. I didn't think about changing the world and changing the field and making the field more diverse. I didn't think about those things. I honestly just thought, I want to run a successful therapy business. That was about as far as my eyes could see. Eventually, I changed my goals and I started pursuing all those other things like the books and the travel and the impact and all of those things. But my original goal was just to have a successful business. I wasn't trying to have a successful 7-figure business, and I wasn't trying to have the world-leading training organization and any of those things. I just wanted to have a successful business. So my first bit of encouragement, please set your big goals based on your big dreams. And then the second thing I want you to know is after you set those big goals based on those big dreams, I want you to put them aside. And instead of focusing on the goal or the outcome, I want you to focus on your daily habits. Achieving those goals was really, really difficult. And took me years. It took me years to, write the kind of books that had the impact on this field. And it took me years to become recognized as the leader of the field of solution-focused brief therapy. These things did not happen overnight. And they're not supposed to happen overnight. They took me years. But it was years of daily habits that I did over and over and over again that continued to move my life in the direction of the accomplishment of those big goals. The big mistake we make also is not only do we set our goals too low, but we focus solely on the achievement of the goal and not necessarily on the habits, not necessarily on the steps that get us moving in the direction of accomplishing that goal. If you want to become, a famous actor, then you've got to do things every day that make achieving that aim more likely. If you want to write a book, then you've got to do things every day that is congruent with you being an author. If you want to be happy, then you got to do things every day that is congruent to you living a happy life. That's the secret, guys. That's the way that you unlock your potential and live a life where you're achieving your wildest dreams. And that is the lesson I want you guys to take from today's message. Thanks so much for being here today. Please, 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 if you wouldn't mind, share this podcast with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to head on over to Apple Podcasts where you can rate this podcast, leave feedback for this podcast, and then subscribe. And in fact, do those things wherever you listen to your podcasts, and I will see you tomorrow. What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie, and for over 15 years, I've helped thousands of counselors support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives, and worked with tens of thousands of clients on my own. And today I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. And today I want to talk to you about New Year's resolutions. The new year presents an opportunity for us to restart. The year's going to change. We're going into January 1, and it gives us the opportunity to start fresh, start anew, and work on goals that maybe we've been holding back on. I know a lot of people that on December 31st, they're going to have their last bad meal, and January 1st, they're going to kick into high gear and get into shape. Or I know people that are really looking forward to this new year and looking to be successful. But according to research, our New Year's resolutions don't even make it out of January, meaning whatever New Year's resolution we're working on at the beginning of January, by the end of January, we've already given up and we're no longer in pursuit of that resolution. Why is that? Well, one of the reasons is because there's nothing really inherently goal increasing about the new year other than it's just a nice time to reset, restart, and refresh. We have to change the way we view goal pursuit. We have to change the way we view resolutions. And instead, what I'm encouraging people to do this year is to think about their New Year's version. Let me explain what I mean when I say that. So whatever goal you're in pursuit of, you have to think about what version of yourself do you need to be to make the achievement of that goal more likely. What version of yourself do you need to be to make accomplishing that goal doable or real or likely? For example, one of the things that I'm working on, which isn't a New Year's resolution, it's just so happens to be December is when the stars aligned and I was able to kind of take control of my fitness life. This has been a struggle for me for several years, actually. Most of my life, I was a significant workout person. You might not be able to tell from looking at my videos from the last decade or so on my website and YouTube channel, but most of my life, I was an athlete. I was an athlete in high school. I was an athlete in college. After college, I gained a little bit of weight and then spent a lot of time working out. And to be honest with you, about a year and a half after college, I was in the best shape I'd ever been in my entire life. And then I went to graduate school. And I remember the first semester of graduate school, continuing to go to the gym. I was working out 6 days a week, about 2 hours a day in the gym. And then the second semester of grad school really kind of ramped up. The reading was intense. The homework was intense. The time dedication to what I was doing went way up. So I couldn't really go to the gym anymore. at that phase of my life, I would work out, on weekends or whenever I had a school break or stuff like that. But I was no longer really a workout person. And I gained a little bit of weight, 10, 15 pounds or so. After graduate school, I got my license and I started working really hard to acquire all of the hours necessary to become an independently licensed person. And once that happened, I opened a business. And then once that happened, I wrote a book and I started traveling around the world and got embarrassingly out of shape, gained an embarrassing amount of weight, and have really struggling with that for the past decade. I mean, I've been traveling 500,000 miles a year and eating a lot of my meals in food courts in airports and restaurants in different cities. And it's really difficult to have a workout routine when you're in a different country, city, or state every week. I mean, it's just very hard. So now I'm not traveling as much because of the pandemic. Things have kind of settled down a bit and I want to take control of my physical fitness, and that's what I'm doing now. But I don't have a goal like lose X amount of pounds or lose X amount of weight. I have a goal of I want to be the version of myself that allows me to feel healthy again. And I believe that will lead to loss of weight. And I believe that will lead to increase in muscle and all those things. But it's not necessarily about the weight loss. It's not necessarily about the muscle tone. It's about the version of me that I want to be. And the version of me that I want to be eats a certain type of way and works out with a certain level of frequency. And it feels good to just be that person again, regardless of what happens to my body. It just feels good to be that person again. And that's really the best way that you can live a life that will lead towards your goals being accomplished, is to focus on the version of yourself that you want to be. And then the outcome takes care of itself. So what I want to encourage you to do is think about the version of yourself that you want to be going into 2022, and then do things each day to increase the likelihood that that version of you will show up. Hey, thanks so much for being here today. Please, please, please do me a huge favor and share this podcast with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message. Share this podcast on your social media pages. Let's spread the word of these messages today. And if you wouldn't mind, please head over to Apple Podcasts where you can rate this podcast, subscribe to this podcast, leave feedback for this podcast. In fact, do that wherever you listen to your podcast. And I will see you on Monday.